Very good morning and welcome to Breakfast News. In the next 1 hour, we'll get you all the latest news and updates. Prime Minister Narendra Modi shared a number of suggestions at the 56th conference of DGPs and IGPs. It remains our top story. And also, President Ramnath Kovind will present the Gallantry Awards at the Defence Investiture ceremony, which will have a detailed story on that too. And another comprehensive victory for India against New Zealand and dream start for Rahul Dravid and Rohit Sharma. And apart from this, international stories and other updates too. I'm Abhishek Mahajan and with me is my colleague Preeti. Good morning, Preeti.
Good morning, Abhishek, and a warm morning to all of you. Yes, it's the beginning of a new week, and to kickstart that, we get for you Breakfast News, a comprehensive show we get for you every morning to make sure that it starts on the right note. The day, in fact, starts on the right note for you, making sure that you keep yourself abreast with everything that's making it to the headlines, national updates, international updates, also updates from the world of business, sports, enough to keep you engaged for the next 1 hour. First, the top stories.
Indigenously developed stealth-guided missile destroyer INS Visakhapatnam commissioned into Indian Navy. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says proud day for India's quest to become Atmanirbhar in the defence sector. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh says India will soon build ships not just for India but for the entire world.
Addressing the Conference of Director Generals and Inspector Generals of Police, Prime Minister Modi calls for constituting a high-power police technology mission for adopting future technologies to make policing more effective and citizen-friendly.
President Ramnath Kovind to present Gallantry Awards and Distinguished Service decorations in the Defence Investiture ceremony at Rashtrapati Bhavan today.
Delhi government extends closure of government offices other than those involved in essential services till November 26th. Schools to remain closed till further orders. Ban on entry of trucks carrying non-essential items also extended to tackle air pollution.
Rain fury continues in Andhra Pradesh and Karnataka. 24 people lost their lives in Karnataka while 30 people died in Andhra Pradesh. Andhra Chief Minister Jagan Mohan Reddy directs close monitoring of situation in Chittoor, Nellore and Kadapa districts.
Poland Prime Minister visits Baltic nations, discusses security of European Union's eastern border and challenges posed by developments in Belarus border, says Afghanistan may be the next stage of the migration crisis. Meanwhile, a WHO delegation visits migrant center near Belarus-Poland border.
In sports, dream start for Rohit Sharma and Rahul Dravid partnership as India beat New Zealand by 73 runs in the final T20I to clean sweep Kiwis 3-0. Akshar Patel receives Player of the Match award. Captain Rohit Sharma announced Player of the Series. Right, so those were the headlines. We'll start with our national segment, our top story.
Yes, INS Visakhapatnam, the indigenously developed missile destroyer packed with state-of-the-art weapons and sensors with modern surveillance radars, was commissioned into the Indian Navy in the presence of Defence Minister Rajnath Singh. It is the first of the 4 Visakhapatnam-class destroyers indigenously designed by Indian Navy's in-house organisation, Directorate of Naval Design, and constructed by Mazagon Dock Shipbuilders Limited in Mumbai. Terming the day as a proud one for India's quest to become Atmanirbhar in the defence sector, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that INS Visakhapatnam is indigenously developed and will strengthen our security apparatus. He also added that our efforts towards defence modernisation continues with full vigour. Let's take a look at this report on what the ship means for self-reliance efforts of the Indian Navy and also its primary objective of keeping the Indo-Pacific region open, safe and secure.
Equipped with the latest systems and weapons and a symbol of growing maritime prowess of India, INS Visakhapatnam was commissioned into the Indian Navy at the Naval Dockyard in Mumbai. The ceremony was attended by Defence Minister Rajnath Singh and other civil and military officials of the Ministry of Defence. The event marks the formal induction of the first of the 4 Visakhapatnam class destroyers, indigenously designed by Indian Navy's in-house organization, the Directorate of Naval Design, and constructed by the Mazagon Dock Shipbuilders. While addressing the ceremony, he termed INS Visakhapatnam as a symbol of growing maritime prowess of the country and a major milestone in achieving Prime Minister Narendra Modi's vision of Make in India, Make for the World.
हमारी नेवी आत्मनिर्भरता के क्षेत्र में इंडिजिनाइज्ड शिप्स और सबमरीन्स की मैन्युफैक्चरिंग आदि में पहले से बहुत आगे रही है। मेक इन इंडिया जैसे इनिशिएटिव्स के साथ जुड़ते हुए नेवी ने वर्ष 2014 में 75% AOAN तथा 66% कास्ट बेसिस कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स इंडियन वेंडर्स को दिए हैं तथा लगभग 90% नेवल एम्यूनिशन का इंडिजिनाइजेशन हुआ है।
The Defence Minister also said that global security reasons, border disputes and maritime dominance have forced countries to move towards strengthening their military power. He added that some irresponsible nations violate ethics of UNCLOS 1982 for narrow partisan interests. India, a responsible maritime stakeholder, believes in freedom of navigation, free trade and an Indo-Pacific route with universal values.
1982 के यूनाइटेड नेशंस कन्वेंशन ऑन द लॉ ऑफ द सी, जिसे अनक्लॉस कहकर पुकारते हैं, इसमें नेशंस के टेरिटोरियल वाटर्स, एक्सक्लूसिव इकोनॉमिक जोन्स और गुड ऑर्डर एट सी के प्रिंसिपल को प्रतिपादित किया गया है। पर इन प्रिंसिपल्स की मनमानी व्याख्या एक रूल बेस्ड मैरीटाइम ऑर्डर की राह में बाधा उत्पन्न करती है। यानी कुछ नेशंस ऐसे हैं, नेशंस क्या हैं, मैं उन्हें इररेस्पॉन्सिबल नेशन कहना चाहूँगा, जो अपने नैरो पार्टीजन इंटरेस्ट के लिए हेगेमोनिक टेंडेंसी से इन इंटरनेशनल लॉज की आए दिन नई नई अनुचित व्याख्याएं करते रहते हैं।
Rajnath Singh exuded confidence that the state-of-the-art ship, equipped with latest systems and weapons, will strengthen the maritime security and protect the interests of the nation. He defined the ship as one of the most technologically advanced guided missile destroyers in the world, which will cater to the present and future requirements of the armed forces and the nation as a whole. INS Visakhapatnam, a P-15B stealth guided missile destroyer, measures 163 meters in length, 17 meters in breadth, and a displacement of 7,400 tons, and can be rightfully regarded as one of the most potent warships to have been constructed in India. The ship is propelled by 4 powerful gas turbines in a combined gas and gas configuration capable of achieving speeds in excess of 30 knots. The ship has enhanced stealth features resulting in reduced radar cross-section section achieved through efficient shaping of the hull, full beam superstructure design, plated masts and use of radar transparent materials on exposed decks. The ship is packed with sophisticated state-of-the-art weapons and sensors such as surface-to-surface missiles and surface-to-air missiles. It is fitted with a modern surveillance radar which provides target data to gunnery weapon systems of the ship. The anti-submarine warfare capabilities are provided by the indigenously developed rocket launchers, torpedo launchers and ASW helicopters. The ship is equipped to fight under nuclear, biological and chemical warfare conditions. Chief of Naval Staff, Member of Parliament Arvind Sawant, Flag Officer Commanding-in-Chief of the Western Naval Command, Chairman and Managing Director of the Mazagon Dock Shipbuilders, and other senior civil and military officials of the Ministry of Defence were present during the commissioning ceremony of INS Visakhapatnam. With inputs from Shama Mishra, Newsnight Desk, DD India.
Well, Prime Minister Narendra Modi shared a number of suggestions at the 56th Conference of DGPs and IGPs held over 2 days at Lucknow. Prime Minister also awarded the President's Police Medal for Distinguished Service to IB personnel. For the first time, as per the directives of the Prime Minister, IPS officers from various states had submitted articles on contemporary security issues, which added more value to the conference. In the run-up to the conference, various core groups of DGPs were formed for holding discussions on key aspects of national security. The conference was attended by 62 DGPs, IGPs of states and union territories and DGs of Central Armed Police Forces and Central Police Organizations in Lucknow. More than 400 officers of various ranks attended the conference virtually from IB offices across the country. And addressing the valedictory session of conference in the afternoon, the Prime Minister called for analysis of all police-related incidents and developing case studies to make it an institutionalized learning mechanism. He hailed the hybrid format of the conference as it allowed free-flow information between various ranks. He suggested development of interoperable technologies which would benefit police forces across the country. He called for constituting a high-power police technology mission under the leadership of Union Home Minister to adopt future technologies for grassroots policing requirements, and citing the importance of technology in the lives of general public, the Prime Minister gave examples of CoWIN, GEM and UPI. He appreciated the positive change in police attitude towards general public, particularly post-COVID. He also suggested positive use of drone technology for the benefit of the people. And to tackle some of the routine challenges faced by police, he urged to involve highly qualified youth to look for technological solutions through hackathon.
President Ramnath Kovind will present the Gallantry Awards and also Distinguished Service Decorations at the Defence Investiture Ceremony to be held at Rashtrapati Bhavan today. Distinguished Service Decorations include Kirti Chakra, Shaurya Chakra, Param Vishisht Seva Medal and also Ati Vishisht Seva Medal.
Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu has arrived in Andhra Pradesh as part of his visit to the state. The Vice President will inaugurate the maiden run of Visakhapatnam Araku special train with Vista Dome LHV coaches on Monday, and this inaugural train will run with open path. And this special train will have halts at Simachalam, Kota Valasa, Shrungavara, Pukota and Bora Guhalu between Visakhapatnam, Araku. East Coast Railway is taking all possible measures for the better service of the customers.
The Delhi government has extended the ban on entry of trucks carrying non-essential items into the city and also work from home for its employees till Friday to combat air pollution and minimize its health effects. Offices involved in essential and emergency service will, however, continue operations, while the ban on construction and demolition activities in Delhi has been lifted. The Delhi government also announced that the schools and colleges will remain closed till further orders. However, online education will continue, Directorate of Education said on Sunday. Meanwhile, strong surface winds swept through Delhi on Sunday, bringing about a visible improvement in the air quality. And the air quality has continued to fluctuate between the very poor and severe category for more than 2 weeks now. Air quality of the national capital remains in very poor category, with overall air quality index recorded at 352 at 6 a.m. today.
Talking about Andhra Pradesh now, the death toll due to rains in Andhra Pradesh reached 30 as more bodies were retrieved from the flooded streams. At least 12 people were reported missing. Chief Minister Jagan Mohan Reddy has instructed the in-charge ministers, MLAs of Chittoor, Nellore and Kadapa districts to camp there and personally monitor the relief operations. The Chennai-Kolkata National Highway 16 remained cut off for traffic between Nellore and Vijayawada, as was the Chennai Grand Trunk Rail route, severing the all-important link between the southern and eastern and northern parts of the country. According to the South Central Railway, more than 100 express trains were cancelled because of the damage caused to the railway tracks near Nellore and 29 more diverted. The Chennai-Mumbai rail routes that runs through Kadapa district also remain shut as the tracks got washed away near Nandaluru. National Disaster Response Force is assisting in evacuation and rescue 24/7 at low-lying areas in various parts of Nellore district. In total, 10 NDRF teams are assisting in relief work here.
A fresh flood scare meanwhile stared Temple Town Tirupati and surrounding villages, with fresh fears around cracks developing in one of the biggest water reservoirs in the state that's located in the district. Rail and road connectivity to the temple city of Tirupati remained cut off with the closure of Kadapa Tirupati Highway, Nellore Tirupati Highway and also Bengaluru Tirupati Highway.
Our correspondent N. Srinivas is joining us to give us more information on this. Srinivas, first of all, rain fury continues in Andhra Pradesh. What is the latest? Can you tell us what is the forecast? And also the rescue and relief operations must be on in full swing.
Yeah, the latest is that the Rayala Cheruvu, which is we were talking in earlier, which developed a breach, is still posing a threat there to 50 more villages. Apart from 18 villages which were evacuated there by the officials, 15 more villages under the threat of flood. Chittoor Collector Harinarayan, SP Venkatappala Naidu, and Special Officer Pradyuman and MLA Chevireddy is there to monitor the situation. They have requested Indian Air Force to send an helicopter to see if any emergency arises so that they can use that helicopter. It was requested by the NDRF, and the district officials got arrangements from the Air Force. It will be coming from Bangalore to Tirupati. Probably they will be deploying this if any emergency arises from this Rayala Cheruvu incident. Coming to Kadapa, collector has said that as of now 15 people have been dead, and the death toll he puts at 15, and 15 bodies were handed over to relatives, and the compensation of 5 lakhs was given to 13 families, 13 victims of the kin, and 22 people are still missing in Kadapa. Coming to Nellore, where we are receiving 4 people are dead. One is a constable who was on duty doing this relief works. The other is a polytechnic student who was caught in a flood. He was rescued by the NDRF, but things got delayed there. And officials have recovered 2 bodies from the flood coming from Penna River. These 2 bodies are not from Nellore. Probably they are from Kadapa. That's what we are told. Okay. And coming to railways, we were told early by 4 a.m. today morning, around 13 new trains have been restored. 13 train services have been restored in Nellore and Gudur and Vijayawada route. And CM has already told MLAs and MPs to be there and monitor the situation. And yesterday CM has announced a free ration to all the districts who are affected by these rains and floods. These are the updates we have now. Abhishek?
All right, Srinivas, also let us know what has the Met Department predicted about the near future, say in the next 2-3 days, how the weather is likely to be in Andhra Pradesh. Also, we tell our viewers that a fresh flood scare has been issued in the temple town of Tirupati.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Regarding this Rayala Cheruvu only I was talking, where there is a flood-like situation, but the hope is that there won't be any much problem. That's what officials are saying. Coming to the weather department, Met Department warnings, for next 2-3 days there won't be much bigger problems compared to what we have seen. Probably there would be isolated thunderstorms in couple of areas. But another looming, dangerous thing is coming from Met Department is that from 26th onwards, another depression may be possible. There would be a possible rains in all the districts which last time had rains, like Nellore, Kadapa, Chittoor, Anantapur, Prakasam. There would be another round of probably another depression may be possible in those days from 26th to December 2nd. That's what Met Department has given the details.
Right, Srinivas, and also what all districts have been severely affected, and like we mentioned also, like Tirupati in Chittoor district have been severely affected. What is the latest on that? And also CM Y.S. Jagan Mohan Reddy has directed the officials to take immediate sanitation measures in Tirupati and also prepare a master plan for the drainage system.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. The drainage system, which is very old system, which is not developed or renovated, the CM has instructed people, officials to ensure there is a sanitation work need to be taken on war foot so that we can prevent outbreak of viral fevers, because we already have COVID here and all sort of fears. Viral fevers are we are getting dengue, all sort of things. So CM has instructed municipal corporation officials to ensure that sanitation work should be taken on war foot, and deflating of drains and taking steps to prevent outbreak of viral fevers. That's what the officials and CM camp officers informed us.
All right. Thank you so much, Srinivas, for joining us with those updates. That was our correspondent Srinivas spelling out more details on the relief and rescue measures and also the severity of the damage which has been caused in Andhra Pradesh due to the rains there. We'll keep you updated. Let's turn focus on to Karnataka now, where a total of 24 people have lost their lives, while crops at over 5 hectares of land have been damaged due to unseasonal heavy rains. Chief Minister Basavaraj Bommai visited rain-affected areas of Chikbalapur district on Sunday. Also, 24 houses have collapsed and 1,078 houses are partially damaged. The Chief Minister said that a compensation of 5 lakh rupees would be paid for those whose houses are completely damaged. Chikbalapur and Kolar districts have suffered extensive losses of crops, houses and public property in the recent heavy rains. He also issued orders for preparing a detailed project report for construction of Raja Kaluve from Kandavara irrigation tank to Gopalakrishna tank to avoid flooding in the area. He also assured the people of all help from the government for affected people and said that ministers were touring the affected districts to supervise the relief work. Alright, so here we have the state of Karnataka also battered by heavy rainfall, unseasonal heavy rainfall. In fact, a total of 24 people have lost their lives, and there has been immense crop damage as well due to the heavy unexpected rainfall that has been witnessed in the state of Karnataka. And also relief and rescue measures have begun in the state, and also relief compensation has been announced by the Chief Minister, rupees 5 lakh for those whose houses have been completely damaged due to this unseasonal rainfall.
Right, our correspondent Aisha Khanum is joining us to give us more information on this. Aisha, what is the latest? Can you tell us? Karnataka also has been put on high alert, and IMD predicts heavy rain for the next 2 days. What is the forecast?
Well, there have been incessant rains from past 3 days, and yesterday night it seemed it was the highest rainfall Bangalore has ever received, and it was over 155 mm rainfall in some parts of Bangalore, like Yelahanka and Nilmangala, wherein the water flooded homes and also has damaged several cars because the water in basement parking areas in several places and residential areas have submerged the cars in Bangalore as such. And overall, across the state, over 19 districts have been receiving continuous rainfall from past 3 days. Karnataka Chief Minister yesterday assessed the situation, and according to the preliminary report that the Chief Minister's office has received, over 25 people have died in these rains since November 1st till yesterday. And this is just a preliminary report. And besides this, over 5 lakh hectares of agricultural land has been destroyed completely. It is underwater now, and over 7,000 houses have been partially damaged, and over 800 houses have been completely collapsed. So the Chief Minister took stock of the situation yesterday late night, and he has ordered the district collectors to prepare a report and assess the agriculture damage. And the Chief Minister has announced compensation of 1 crore each to over 7,000 farmers who have suffered heavy losses as an initial token amount for compensation. So right now the rain has stopped for some time, giving relief to people in Karnataka, but the IMD has a forecast that it will rain for another 2 days, for another 48 hours in Bangalore and surrounding districts and across other districts in Karnataka. So Karnataka government is taking all steps and putting up the state disaster management force on alert, and also several civil volunteers have been called out to assist the people to help move to safer locations. And mostly in North Karnataka, the rain damages are heavy and the farmers have suffered losses worth crores.
All right, Aisha, thank you so much for joining in with those inputs. That was our correspondent Aisha Khanum spelling out more on the immense damage that has been caused due to incessant rainfall in the past 3 days in the state of Karnataka. She tells us that North Karnataka region has been more severely affected due to this incessant rainfall, unexpected too. In the last 3 days, and let's see how the days ahead pan out. We'll keep you updated with the situation there in the state. Up next, let's get you news from across the world in our next segment.
Right, Polish Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki has warned that the migrant crisis on the Belarus border may be a prelude to something much worse. Polish Prime Minister toured Baltic states including Estonia, Lithuania and Latvia on Sunday to discuss the security of the EU's eastern border and challenges the Belarusian regime poses to the region. In Lithuania, the Polish Premier said that he was receiving information that the difficult situation in Afghanistan after the Taliban took over the country in August may be used as the next stage of the migration crisis. Poland and Lithuania thus called for continued support from the European Union and NATO.
We know of diplomatic and official contacts of Belarus and Russia with Uzbekistan and Afghanistan, and there will be an attempt to use. There probably will be an attempt to use the crisis in Afghanistan as the next stage of the migration crisis. And the migration crisis is just one part of the political crisis in which Lukashenko, with his real principle, and I think nobody has doubts that this is President Putin, will continue such actions.
A WHO delegation visited a warehouse used to house thousands of migrants near the Belarusian-Polish border on Sunday. The Transport and Logistics Center in Grodno region, Belarus, was toured by a team led by Gerald Rockenshaw. Also, hundreds of migrants, including young children, have been sheltering inside the logistics warehouse since November 18, when Belarusian guards cleared out the temporary camp at the border. Migrants from the Middle East are sheltering in freezing conditions on the border between Belarus and European Union states of Poland and Lithuania, which are refusing to let them cross. Meanwhile, Poland's border guard said that Belarusian forces were still ferrying migrants to the frontier. Poland accused Belarus of continuing to ferry migrants to its border, despite clearing camps close to the frontier earlier this week in response to European sanctions. Minsk, which denies fomenting the crisis, is trying to repatriate some people to Iraq.
COVID updates now. Let's take a look at updates on COVID-19 from across the world. COVID-19 cases soared across the world. The virus has so far infected more than 25 crore 78 lakh people, while the number of recoveries have crossed 23 crore 27 lakh globally. COVID-19 has claimed over 51 lakh 67,000 lives worldwide, and the US continues to register the highest number of cases and deaths. The country has over more than 4 crore 85 lakh cases and fatalities, standing above 7 lakh and 93,000.
With the recent surge in COVID infections in Europe, protests have been taking place all over the continent. Riots broke out in cities across the Netherlands on Sunday, the third night in a row that police clashed with mobs of angry youth who set fires and threw rocks to protest against the restrictions. Unrest was reported in locations including Leeuwarden and Groningen in the north, the eastern town of Enschede and also Tilburg in the south. The protest was sparked by opposition to government plans to restrict use of a national corona pass to people who have either recovered from COVID or have been vaccinated, excluding those with a negative test result. The Netherlands reimposed some lockdown measures on its 17.5 million population last weekend for an initial 3 weeks in an effort to slow a resurgence of the virus, but daily infections have remained at their highest levels since the start of the pandemic.
Meanwhile, around 35,000 people took to the streets in Belgium's Brussels on Sunday to protest against restrictions imposed by the government in the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic. There were some confrontations between demonstrators and police, with protesters throwing smoke bombs and fireworks. However, as per the police, the situation normalized later. Belgium had tightened its coronavirus restrictions last week, mandating wider use of masks and enforcing work from home as cases rose in the country's fourth COVID-19 wave. Later, the protests turned heated as demonstrators clashed with the police, and in retaliation, the police used tear gas and water cannons to disperse thousands of protesters demonstrating in Brussels against COVID-19 restrictions. The measures were re-implemented due to spike in COVID-19 cases. Footage posted on social media shows protesters running away from heavily armed police officers and vehicles in the Belgian capital. Some protesters responded by smashing windows of police vehicles. As of Sunday, Belgium recorded 26,568 total deaths due to COVID, with 15,81,500 total cases since the start of the pandemic. Belgium has one of the highest cases per capita rates in the European Union, behind only the Baltic and former Yugoslav nations, and Austria at around 1 per 100 people over the past 14 days.
Thousands of protesters marched through Vienna on Saturday after the Austrian government announced a nationwide lockdown beginning today to contain the skyrocketing COVID infections. The Austrian COVID-19 lockdown begins today and comes as average daily deaths have tripled in recent weeks, and also hospitals in heavily hit states have warned that the ICUs are reaching their capacity. The lockdown will last at least 10 days but could go up to 20, officials said. People will be able to leave their homes only for specific reasons, including buying groceries, going to the doctor or exercising. The government also will make vaccinations mandatory starting 1st of February, and 66% of Australia's 8.9 million people are fully vaccinated, which is one of the lowest rates in Western Europe.
The U.S. Transportation Security Administration expects to screen about 20 million air passengers during the busy Thanksgiving travel period. The administration said airport security checkpoints nationwide will be busy in the period that starts on Friday, November 19th and runs through November 28th, and that passenger volumes may be very close to pre-pandemic levels this holiday. Delta Airlines said it expects to fly up to 5.6 million passengers from Friday through November 30th, nearly 300% over 2020's 2.2 million Delta passengers for the period, but still below the 6.3 million passengers during the same period in 2019. United Airlines said it anticipates more than 4.5 million passengers during the Thanksgiving travel period, about 88% of 2019 volume. United said it was adding about 700 domestic flights for Thanksgiving week and would fly 87% of its 2019 domestic schedule in November. Last week, the Biden administration lifted travel restrictions for fully vaccinated air travelers from 33 countries, including China, South Africa, Brazil, and much of Europe.
Meanwhile, Britain called on Sunday for international action on the issue of medical devices such as oximeters that work better with people with lighter skin, saying the disparities may have cost lives of ethnic minority patients during the COVID pandemic. Health Secretary Sajid Javid said that he had commissioned a review of the issue after learning that oximeters, which measure blood oxygen levels and are key to assessing COVID patients, give less accurate readings for patients with darker skin. The review will aim to identify where systematic bias and risk exist with current devices and to recommend how the issue should be tackled in the creation of medical devices from design to use. He also said that the reason for the discrepancies in the accuracy was that a lot of medical devices, drugs, procedures and textbooks were put together in white majority countries.
Always be looking to see what can be done to improve things, and this particular issue about racial bias in medical instruments, it's global. It's nothing to really, I think it's not really about the NHS. It's a global issue. These oxiometers are being used across the world. They all have the same problem. And I think Britain is in a place to take some leadership on this.
In some other international updates, Chile is headed for a polarized presidential election runoff next month as hard-right former Congressman Jose Antonio Cast held the lead in the first round vote ahead of leftist lawmaker and former protest leader Gabriel Boric. With under 50% of the vote counted, former Congressman Jose Antonio Cast had received 28.64% of ballots, while leftist lawmaker Gabriel Boric took over 24.44% of the votes. Centre-left Jasna Provoste and centre-right Sebastian Sichel were in 4th and 5th with 12.36%, 11.96%. Meanwhile, if no candidate receives more than 50% of the vote, there will be a second round on December 19th. Elections for 155 seats in country's lower house, 27 seats in the upper house and all positions in the nation's 16 regional councils are also being held.
In Venezuela, low numbers of voters took part in regional elections on Sunday. Electoral authorities reported small and isolated difficulties in elections that marked the return of opposition politicians after 4 years. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro cast his vote and called on all to vote and to respect the election results. Elections were observed by more than 130 international monitors for free and fair elections. Meanwhile, over 3,000 state governors, mayors and city councils will be chosen. Opposition politicians had boycotted presidential elections and parliamentary elections in 2018 and 2020, accusing President Maduro's government of fraud.
In Canada, basic supplies of water, canned goods and pet food was airlifted to those impacted by record rainfall in parts of British Columbia. The Royal Canadian Air Force packed supplies into helicopters on a private helicopter facility at Abbotsford, which was badly hit by the floods. Military personnel also continued to work to support flood mitigation efforts. Meanwhile, Canada's westernmost province declared a state of emergency after heavy rainfall. Rainfall washed out roads and railways and the lower mainland region from the rest of the country. About 14,000 people were evacuated in several communities in the Pacific province.
Sudan's military reinstated Prime Minister Abdallah Hamdok on Sunday and promised to release all political detainees after weeks of unrest triggered by a coup. Under an agreement signed with military leader General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, Hamdok will lead a civilian government of technocrats for a transitional period. A constitutional declaration struck between the military and civilians in 2019 will remain the foundation for further talks. Meanwhile, the deal faces opposition from pro-democracy groups that have demanded full civilian rule. Tens of thousands of people joined scheduled rallies in the capital Khartoum and its twin cities of Omdurman and Bari. Hamdok was placed under house arrest when the military seized power, derailing a transition towards elections in 2023.
And the police confirmed on Sunday that over 20 people were injured when a vehicle drove through a holiday parade in Waukesha, Wisconsin. Waukesha Police Chief Daniel Thompson said it was a tragic and chaotic incident that occurred late in the afternoon when a red SUV drove into the local holiday parade. He said victims were transported to the hospital by ambulance, police and local residents. In one video posted on social media, a red Sport utility vehicle appeared to speed towards marchers from behind. In a second video, police appeared to open fire on the same vehicle as it crashed through street barriers. Photos and videos of Waukesha circulating on social media showed police cars and ambulances crowding a street decked out with Christmas lights in the aftermath of the incident. Bundled up people huddled on sidewalks as dusk fell. An investigation is underway.
More than 20 individuals were injured as a result of this incident. The Waukesha Police Department has recovered a suspect vehicle. It's an ongoing investigation. Victims were actually transported from the scene via ambulance. Officers actually transported some of the injured personnel and took them to the hospitals, and some victims were actually transported by family members and friends to the hospitals. A very tragic incident, very chaotic. There is no other threats involved.
A gunman has opened fire in Jerusalem's Old City, killing one person and injuring at least 3 others. The gunman, who the officials identified as a member of the Palestinian militant group Hamas, was shot dead by Israeli security forces. One civilian shot by the gunman died of his wounds in the hospital. Another one was seriously hurt, and 2 Israeli police officials were also wounded. The incident, the second attack in Jerusalem in 4 days, occurred near one of the gates to the flashpoint Al-Aqsa Mosque compound, the third holiest site in Islam. Jews revere the site as the remnant of 2 ancient temples.
Meanwhile, Spanish Coast Guard rescued 3 ships carrying migrants off the coast of Gran Canaria on Sunday night. The boats carrying respectively 38, 36 and 48 people, including 7 women and a little girl, were intercepted south of the Spanish island. All the migrants were safely transferred to Arguineguin port by the authorities. More than 13,100 migrants have made the perilous journey from West Africa to the Canaries archipelago between January and September 30th this year. According to Spanish government data, more than double the number in the equivalent period in 2020.
With Canada and British Columbia battling the flood situation since many past weeks, residents of a flood-ravaged town in Western Columbia salvaged what belongings they could from their homes after a nearby river burst its banks, threatening families and cutting them off. According to local media, a total of 3,600 families were affected by intense floodings in the town of Meadow-Bordeaux. Crops and household belongings were destroyed with no respite from the rain. Many of the town residents have moved to higher grounds. Amidst the bleak outlook, authorities and relief agencies seek to mitigate the emergency. Authorities will hold an extraordinary risk management meeting to discuss measures to be taken for immediate relief of affected residents.
In some other news, El Salvador plans to build the world's first Bitcoin city, funded initially by Bitcoin-backed bonds. President Nayib Bukele said on Saturday, doubling down on his bet to harness the cryptocurrency to fuel investment in the Central American country. Speaking at an event closing a week-long promotion of Bitcoin in El Salvador, Bukele said the city planned in the eastern region of La Union would get geothermal power from a volcano and not levy any taxes except for value-added tax. Half of the VAT levied would be used to fund the bonds issued to build the city, and the other half would pay for services such as garbage collection. Estimating the public infrastructure would cost around 3 lakh bitcoins. El Salvador in September became the first country in the world to adopt Bitcoin as legal tender.
All right, up next we get to Web News Review.
Right, so our colleague Arun Sharma is with us for the Web News Review segment. Very good morning, Arun. What can you tell us on Web News Review?
Good morning, Abhishek and Preeti and all our viewers. Well, let's begin the news with some of the economic news primarily. Now, number one news is about the center state's work to link migrant worker database to job match portal. Now, there are close to 9 crore workers who are into the informal sector. They have already, upgraded or primarily linked their Aadhaar card with the eShram portal so that they can be part of the government's database. Now, center is basically looking for the data from the states, and of course, state and centers, they both are working together so that these database of 9 crore people who are into informal sector can be matched with the job portal website, and of course with the job portal system, so that they can get job according to their qualification, according to their job qualification primarily. And that's what the center and states are doing as of now. So this news primarily is very interesting because the worker database will be linked with the Unnati platform of the government, and of course the proposed labor matching the platform. That means whatever job according to their job profile is there, they'll be alerted with that job data or job result primarily. Second news article I have picked up from the Economic Times. Now it says that Yamuna Authority to invite bid for development of film city near Jewar Airport. Now we know this fact that Jewar Airport will soon be coming up in Uttar Pradesh, and of course now Uttar Pradesh is also gearing up to become primarily is a big city primarily or big state primarily to attract investment from the films and entertainment sector as well. And of course, we also know this fact that as far as the Yamuna Authority is concerned, Film City is being planned primarily near the Jewar Airport, and the idea is to attract more and more investment from the film and entertainment sector. We also know this fact that there are various films being shot in Uttar Pradesh, and Uttar Pradesh is becoming a big hub for entertainment and film industry. And after that, we know this fact that Yamuna Authority is now inviting bid for the Film City just near to Jewar Airport. So yes, Uttar Pradesh is becoming a big destination primarily so that investment can be attracted. Third big article I picked up, now this is in various newspaper article, it says that UK recognizes Covaxin as valid COVID-19 vaccine for travel for today. Now, interestingly, we know this fact that, as far as the UK is concerned, as far as it is now allowing Covaxin as well. Now, earlier, Covishield vaccine was given approval from UK. Now, what does this mean? It means primarily that the travelers who are traveling from India with the Covaxin also will be in a position to enter UK without being there for any kind of quarantine purposes in UK. So they can travel UK for business purposes, for travel purposes as well. And they can, of course, either Covishield or Covaxin. Both these two vaccines will be valid for the same. Now, last news article is from, again, the business side. Now, it is about the foreign institutional investors. Now, FII buys over $3 billion on Indian equities in last 5 sessions. That's the big article, because in last 5 sessions, we've seen a lot of IPOs, close to 1 trillion rupee, or primarily 1.3 lakh crore rupees being pumped into the stock markets or the Indian stock markets. And of course, the FIIs are also bullish. Apart from the FPIs, and the FIIs are also bullish on the Indian stock markets, and we have seen how Nifty and Sensex surging to record level. So in that context, yes, it's an interesting article whereby FIIs have bought close to $3 billion in Indian equities in last 5 sessions. That means last week only the FIIs have pumped in close to $3 billion. So this is again a big news. So all these articles are trending on the social media websites and of course on various newspaper articles. But for other news, back to you, Abhishek.
All right, thank you, Arun. Thank you for the elaborated stories. Up next, let's move on to our next segment, which is Sports Track.
Yes. And Team India made an impressive start in the new era under Rahul Dravid-Rohit Sharma duo in the shortest format, completing a 3-0 clean sweep against New Zealand. The Indian side registered a comprehensive 73-run victory in the third and final T20 International at the Eden Gardens in Kolkata on Sunday. The Indian skipper first made a statement, scoring 56 of 31 balls in India's 184 for 7, and then made some immaculate captaincy calls, which witnessed New Zealand's surrender for a mere 111 runs in 17.2 overs. It was the second back-to-back bilateral T20 International Series triumph with a clean sweep for India after beating the Black Caps 5-0 in their own den in 2020. Rahul Dravid was appointed the head coach of the Indian team earlier this month and took over the role after the side's campaign in the 2021 T20 World Cup. And for India, who were aiming to reset the button, the series win will certainly give them a few pointers going forward.
And the Bangladesh under-19 cricket team was felicitated at the High Commission of India in Dhaka on Sunday. The under-19 team will leave for Kolkata on Tuesday to play in the triangular series with the under-19A and under-19B team of India at Kolkata. The matches will start from November 28th, and the final match of the triangular series will be played on 7th December. Welcoming the team members of the Bangladeshi under-19 team, High Commissioner Vikram Doraiswamy said that the cricket series between the two countries also strengthens the friendship between the people of the two countries. Member of Parliament and former captain of Bangladesh cricket team A.M. Naimur Rahman Turjoy appreciated the gesture of the High Commission of India in welcoming the team at the Chancery. He highlighted the long and historic friendship between the two countries starting from Liberation War of Bangladesh in 1971.
English club Manchester United sacked their manager Ole Gunnar on Sunday. The move did not come as a surprise, as the cry for firing the Norwegian have been up in the air for a few weeks following the Red Devils' consistently poor performance in the previous weeks. United have lost 5 out of their last 7 matches in the domestic league. The humiliating defeat of United at the hands of Watford on Saturday have put the last nail in the coffin for former United players' managing career in the club. He had a standing contract till 2024 with the club, which the club has decided to terminate now. United is currently at 8th spot in the Premier League table.
Tennis now. Alexander Zverev captured his second ATP Finals title after producing a brilliant performance in Sunday's final in Turin in Italy. After eliminating number 1 Novak Djokovic over 3 sets in the semi-finals, Zverev put on a dominant performance in Sunday's final, beating number 2 Daniil Medvedev 6-4, 6-4. Zverev, the Olympic singles gold medalist in Tokyo, won his tour leading 6th trophy of the season. The German third seed broke once in each set as he swept US Open winner Medvedev aside in 75 minutes to add to the season-ending crown he won in 2018. Medvedev, the US Open champion, won this event last year and had beaten Zverev 5 consecutive times.
Lewis Hamilton took a comfortable win in the Qatar Grand Prix with his remarkable performance to close the gap to Max Verstappen in their fight for the Drivers' World Championship. Hamilton finished the race in 1 hour 24 minutes, 28.471 seconds. Back-to-back wins for the defending and 7-time champion Hamilton in Brazil and Qatar have moved him within 8 points with 2 races left. With this win, he claimed his 7th season win and 102nd overall. Double world champion Fernando Alonso was also 3rd for Renault-owned Alpine, the 40-year-old Spaniard's first podium finish since 2014. Sergio Perez finished 4th to help Red Bull in its push to beat Mercedes for the Constructors' Championship.
And golf legend Tiger Woods posted a short video of himself taking a practice shot out on a golf course on Sunday. Woods, who has not played in a golf tournament since his car accident, shared a 3-second video on social media with the caption, "Making progress." In the video, Woods is seen taking a swing with a basket filled with golf balls at his side and noticeably wearing a black sleeve on his right leg.
It's the 22nd of November. Today, let's take a look at major happenings that took place on this day in history.
In today's episode of the saga of freedom struggle, we'll remember the incredible warrior and freedom fighter Jhalkari Bai, who was born on November 22nd, 1830. An advisor and confidant to the legendary Rani Lakshmi Bai, she played a key role in the battle formations alongside Lakshmi Bai and emerged as a prominent fighter during the First War of Indian Independence in 1857.
In today's episode, we remember the incredible warrior and freedom fighter Jhalkari Bai, who was born on the 22nd of November 1830. An advisor and confidant to the legendary Rani Lakshmi Bai, she played a key role in the battle formations alongside Lakshmi Bai and emerged as a prominent fighter during the First War of Indian Independence in 1857.
Jhalkari was born to Sadoba Singh and Jamuna Devi in Bhojla village near Jhansi. Jhalkari didn't go to school for a formal education, but was taught to wield weapons skillfully and given horseback riding lessons since her childhood. Tales of her bravery were famous in Jhansi's households. It is said that once when dacoits tried to raid the village, Jhalkari single-handedly drove them away. She's also said to have killed a tiger with her axe when the animal tried to attack her in the jungle.
Rani Lakshmi Bai spotted Jhalkari during a festival celebration in Jhansi Fort and was surprised by the uncanny resemblance Jhalkari shared with her. When the Queen was briefed on Jhalkari's brave acts, she was quickly inducted into the women's wing of the army. In 1858, when British Field Marshal Hugh Henry Rose attacked Jhansi, Rani Lakshmibai took on the British forces from her fort with just an army of 4,000. However, she was betrayed by one of her own commanders, thus making defeat imminent.
Counselled by her generals, Lakshmibai quietly slipped away from Jhansi on horseback. Jhalkari Bai set out for General Rose's camp in disguise and declared herself to be the queen. This led to a confusion that continued for a whole day and gave Lakshmibai enough time to escape. Jhalkari Bai died on 4th April 1858 while defending her queen and fighting for her motherland. Her courage has left behind a rich legacy for millions to emulate. There is a statue in her honour in Gwalior. In 2001, the Government of India released a stamp to pay tributes to Jhalkari Bai, a warrior who lived and died defending her people and her country. We salute her indomitable spirit. Today, we also commemorate the birth anniversary of Indian nationalist Shanti Ghosh, who was born on 22nd of November 1916 in Kolkata, West Bengal. Ghosh was a founder member of the Chhatri Sangha in Comilla and joined the militant revolutionary organization Jugantar Party. On the 14th of December 1931, Ghosh and Suniti Chaudhary, both 16 years old at that time, walked into the office of Charles Jeffrey Buckland Stevens, the district magistrate of Comilla, under the pretense that they wanted to present candies and chocolates to the magistrate prior to Christmas. While Stevens ate the candy and said, "These are delicious," Ghosh and Chaudhary removed automatic pistols which were hidden under their shawls and said, "Well, how about this one, Mr. Magistrate?" and shot him. Were sentenced to transportation for life and sent to Hijli detention camp, Kharagpur. However, in 1939, after having served 7 years of sentence, they were released because of the amnesty negotiations between Mahatma Gandhi and the British government. After her release, Ghosh attended the Bengali Women's College and joined politics. She served on the West Bengal Legislative Council from 1952 to 62 and 1967 to 68, and on the West Bengal Legislative Assembly from 1962 to 64. She continued to work for the betterment of India till her death in 1989. We salute the great Indian patriot.
Alright, that's it in this edition of Breakfast News this morning. But before we go, we leave you with glimpses of the largest aquarium in the Middle East. That is the National Abu Dhabi Aquarium as it opens its doors. And some of the aquarium's most iconic species include a 7-meter-long super snake, hammerhead sharks, and also an Asian water monitor lizard dubbed as Professor. Take a look. Have a good day ahead.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.